When heaven is about to confer a great responsibility on any man, it will exercise his mind with suffering, subject his sinews and bones to hard work, expose his body to hunger, put him to poverty, place obstacles in the paths of his deeds, so as to stimulate his mind, harden his nature, and improve wherever he is incompetent. To love all men are the greatest virtue, to be impartial in love is the greatest wisdom. The best things in life come in threes, like friends, dreams, and memories. The great man is he who does not lose his child's heart. The disease of men is that they neglect their own fields and go to weed the fields of others. Try your best to treat others as you would wish to be treated yourself, and you will find that this is the shortest way to benevolence. Evil exists to glorify the good. Evil is negative good. It is a relative term. Evil can be transmuted into good. What is evil to one at one time, becomes good at another time to somebody else. A man who does not know how to be angry does not know how to be good. He who loves others is constantly loved by them. He who respects others are constantly respected by them. Integrity, wisdom, skill, intelligence, such things are forged in adversity. There is a power in everything, it is the job of the artist to determine it and express it. There is no greater delight than to be conscious of sincerity on self-examination. Friendship is one mind in two bodies. Friends are the siblings God never gave us. Truth uttered before its time is always dangerous. The way of truth is like a great road. It is not difficult to know it. The evil is only that men will not seek it. To act without clear understanding, to form habits without investigation, to follow a path all one's life without knowing where it really leads, such is the behavior of the multitude. Only when there are things a man will not do is he capable of doing great things. The essence of knowledge is, having it, to apply it, not having it, to confess your ignorance. People are eager to comment on something when they themselves are not in the situation of doing it. People are distressed by their inability to do it. The problem, however, is simply that they don't do it. If you know the point of balance, you can settle the details. If you can settle the details, you can stop running around. Your mind will become calm. If your mind becomes calm, you can think in front of a tiger. If you can think in front of a tiger, you will surely succeed. The feeling of right or wrong is the beginning of wisdom. Never has a man who has bent himself been able to make others straight. One who believes all of a book would be better off without books. Never has there been one possessed of complete sincerity who did not move others. Never has there been one who had not sincerity, who was able to move others. Filling with food, warming with clothes, living leisurely without learning, it is little short of animals. A man must not be without shame, for the shame of being without shame is shamelessness indeed. A trail through the mountains, if used, becomes a path in a short time, but, if unused, becomes blocked by grass in an equally short time. The foundation of the world lies in the nation. The foundation of the nation lies in the family. The foundation of the family lies in the individual. The people are the most important element in a nation, the spirits of the land and grain are the next, the sovereign is the least. If the king loves music, there is little wrong in the land. People can have a long-term life plan only if they know their private property is secure. Without effective protection of the citizen's right to property, it will be difficult to attract and accumulate valuable capital. It is not difficult to govern. All one has to do is not to offend the noble families. Charity is in the heart of man, and righteousness in the path of men. Pity the man who has lost his path and does not follow it, and who has lost his heart and does not know how to recover it. When people's dogs and chicks are lost, they go out and look for them, and yet the people who have lost their hearts do not go out and look for them. The principle of self-cultivation consists in nothing but trying to look for the lost heart. The feeling of compassion is the beginning of humanity. Treat others as you would be treated. Devote yourself to that, for there's no more direct approach to humanity. Sincerity is the way to heaven. Don't do what should not be done, and don't desire what should not be desired. Abide by this one precept, and everything else will follow. The sole concern of learning is to seek one's original heart. Make your learning abundant and speak of it with precision, then you will speak of essentials. If Confucius wasn't born, the long night would have no bright lamp. There's only one way to know if people are good or evil: look at the choices they make. We each contain precious and worthless, great and small. Never injure the great for the sake of the small, or the precious for the sake of the worthless. Small people nurture what is small in them, great people nurture what is great in them. Kindly words do not enter so deeply into men as a reputation for kindness. Mankind fears an evil man, but heaven does not. I dislike death, however, there are some things I dislike more than death. Therefore, there are times when I will not avoid danger. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. These are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. Success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation there is sure to be failure. When anger rises, think of the consequences. Silence is a true friend who never betrays. Never give a sword to a man who can't dance. Humility is the solid foundation of all virtues. The cautious seldom err. If I am walking with two other men, each of them will serve as my teacher. I will pick out the good points of the one and imitate them, and the bad points of the other and correct them in myself. Heaven means to be one with God. Never contract friendship with a man that is not better than thyself. You cannot open a book without learning something. To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. A gentleman would be ashamed should his deeds not match his words. In a country well governed, poverty is something to be ashamed of. In a country badly governed, wealth is something to be ashamed of. The object of the superior man is truth. Learning without thought is labor lost, thought without learning is perilous. The more man meditates upon good thoughts, the better will be his world and the world at large. I want you to be everything that's you, deep at the center of your being. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it. This is knowledge. If you look into your own heart, and you find nothing wrong there, what is there to worry about? What is there to fear? A youth, when at home, should be filial and, abroad, respectful to his elders. He should be earnest and truthful. He should overflow in love to all and cultivate the friendship of the good. When he has time and opportunity, after the performance of these things, he should employ them in polite studies. To rule a country of 1,000 chariots, there must be reverent attention to business, and sincerity, economy in expenditure, and love for men, and the employment of the people at the proper seasons. The superior man acts before he speaks, and afterwards speaks according to his action. Virtuous people often revenge themselves for the constraints to which they submit by the boredom which they inspire. To see what is right and not to do it is want of courage, or of principle. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. To know what you know and what you do not know, that is true knowledge. By three methods we may learn wisdom: first, by reflection, which is noblest; second, by imitation, which is easiest; and third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. It is easy to hate and it is difficult to love. This is how the whole scheme of things works. All good things are difficult to achieve, and bad things are very easy to get. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. He who learns but does not think, is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. Old age, believe me, is a good and pleasant thing. It is true you are gently shouldered off the stage, but then you are given such a comfortable front stall as spectator. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed; if in terms of 10 years, plant trees; if in terms of 100 years, teach the people. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Only the wisest and stupidest of men never change. We should feel sorrow, but not sink under its oppression. The expectations of life depend upon diligence. The mechanic that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. Study the past, if you would divine the future. Without feelings of respect, what is there to distinguish men from beasts? If we don't know life, how can we know death? They must often change, who would be constant in happiness or wisdom. The superior man thinks always of virtue, the common man thinks of comfort. To see the right and not to do it is cowardice. An oppressive government is more to be feared than a tiger. To practice 5 things under all circumstances constitutes perfect virtue. These 5 are gravity, generosity of soul, sincerity, earnestness, and kindness. Death and life have their determined appointments, riches and honors depend upon heaven. The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. To see and listen to the wicked is already the beginning of wickedness. Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the 3 universally recognized moral qualities of men. It is more shameful to distrust our friends than to be deceived by them. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them, that only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Nothing is softer or more flexible than water, yet nothing can resist it. A good traveler has no fixed plans, and is not intent on arriving. Life and death are one thread, the same line viewed from different sides. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. He who conquers others is strong, he who conquers himself is mighty. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, and compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Silence is a source of great strength. Truthful words are not beautiful, beautiful words are not truthful. Good words are not persuasive, persuasive words are not good. Treat those who are good with goodness, and also treat those who are not good with goodness. Thus goodness is attained. Be honest to those who are honest, and be also honest to those who are not honest. Thus honesty is attained. When the best leader's work is done, the people say, "We did it ourselves." By letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try and try, the world is beyond the winning. Great acts are made up of small deeds. Man's enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. From caring comes courage. Manifest plainness, embrace simplicity, reduce selfishness, have few desires. When virtue is lost, benevolence appears. When benevolence is lost, right conduct appears. When right conduct is lost, expedience appears. Expediency is the mere shadow of right and truth, it is the beginning of disorder. To see things in the seed, that is genius. The wicked leader is he who the people despise. The good leader is he who the people revere. The great leader is he who the people say, "We did it ourselves." If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. The sage does not hoard. The more he helps others, the more he benefits himself. The more he gives to others, the more he gets himself. The way of heaven does one good but never does one harm. The way of the sage is to act but not to compete. Fill your bowl to the brim and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. The more laws and order are made prominent, the more thieves and robbers there will be. Because of a great love, one is courageous. In the world, there is nothing more submissive and weaker than water. Yet for attacking that which is hard and strong, nothing can surpass it. The softest things in the world overcome the hardest things in the world. If you would take, you must first give. This is the beginning of intelligence. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth, the named is the mother of all things. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness. He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still. Love is of all passions the strongest, for it attacks simultaneously the head, the heart, and the senses. Be content with what you have, rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. Those who have the knowledge don't predict. Those who predict don't have knowledge. Respond intelligently even to unintelligent treatment. He who does not trust enough will not be trusted. Health is the greatest possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. Non-being is the greatest joy. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. The power of intuitive understanding will protect you from harm until the end of your days. Governing a great nation is like cooking a small fish, too much handling will spoil it. The snow goose need not bathe to make itself white. Neither needs you to do anything but be yourself. Anticipate the difficult by managing the easy. An ant on the move does more than a dozing ox. To lead people to walk behind them. He who is contented is rich. The wise man does not lay up his own treasures. The more he gives to others, the more he has for his own. When a nation is filled with strife, then do patriots flourish. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. One who is too insistent on his own views, finds few to agree with him. One cannot reflect in streaming water. Only those who know internal peace can give it to others. Without stirring abroad, one can know the whole world. Without looking out of the window, one can see the way of heaven. The further one goes, the less one knows. To know yet to think that one does not know is best. Not to know yet to think that one knows will lead to difficulty. Be the chief but never the lord. Sincere words are not fine, fine words are not sincere. If the great way perishes, there will be morality and duty. When cleverness and knowledge arise, great lies will flourish. When relatives fall out with one another, there will be filial duty and love. When states are in confusion, there will be faithful servants. The people are hungry, it is because those in authority eat up too much in taxes. To realize that you do not understand is a virtue, not to realize that you do not understand is a defect. A scholar who cherishes the love of comfort is not fit to be deemed a scholar. Govern a great nation as you would cook a small fish. Do not overdo it. All things in the world come from being, and being comes from non-being. Simulated disorder postulates perfect discipline, simulated fear postulates courage, simulated weakness postulates strength. Heaven is long enduring, and earth continues long. The reason why heaven and earth are able to endure and continue thus long is that they do not live of, or for, themselves. The words of truth are always paradoxical. Of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. Succeeding is the coming together of all that is beautiful. Furtherance is the agreement of all that is just. Perseverance is the foundation of all actions. From wonder into wonder existence opens. He who talks more is sooner exhausted. There was something undifferentiated and yet complete, which existed before heaven and earth. Soundless and formless, it depends on nothing and does not change. It operates everywhere and is free from danger. It may be considered the mother of the universe. I do not know its name, I call it Tao. People in their handlings of affairs often fail when they are about to succeed. If one remains as careful at the end as he was at the beginning, there will be no failure. Nature is not human-hearted. He who obtains has little. He who scatters has much. If you keep feeling a point that has been sharpened, the point cannot long preserve its sharpness. I do not concern myself with gods and spirits either good or evil, nor do I serve any. Ambition has one heel nailed in well, though she stretches her fingers to touch the heavens. Friends are the siblings God never gave us. Friendship is one mind in two bodies. Kindly words do not enter so deeply into men as a reputation for kindness. Only when a man will not do some things is he capable of doing great things. He who attends to his greater self becomes a great man, and he who attends to his smaller self becomes a small man. Evil exists to glorify the good. Evil is negative good. It is a relative term. Evil can be transmuted into good. What is evil to one at one time, becomes good at another time to somebody else. Truth uttered before its time is always dangerous. Every duty is a charge, but the charge of oneself is the root of all others. Friendship with a man is friendship with his virtue. A trail through the mountains, if used, becomes a path in a short time, but, if unused, becomes blocked by grass in an equally short time. Mankind fears an evil man, but heaven does not. If Confucius wasn't born, the long night would have no bright lamp. Let not a man do what his sense of right bids him not to do, nor desire what it forbids him to desire. This is sufficient. The skillful artist will not alter his measures for the sake of a stupid workman. Without effective protection of the citizen's right to property, it will be difficult to attract and accumulate valuable capital. The great man is he who does not lose his child's heart. The people are the most important element in a nation, the spirits of the land and brain are the next, the sovereign is the least. Sincerity is the way to heaven. I like fish, and I also like bear's paws. If I cannot have the two together, I will let the fish go, and take the bear's paws. So, I like life, and I also like righteousness. If I cannot keep the two together, I will let life go, and choose righteousness. If the king loves music, there is little wrong in the land. The root of the kingdom is in the state. The root of the state is in the family. The root of the family is in the person of its head. There is no greater delight than to be conscious of sincerity on self-examination. It is not difficult to govern. All one has to do is not to offend the noble families. Let men decide firmly what they will not do, and they will be free to do vigorously what they ought to do. Secure property in hand leads to peace in mind. People can have a long-term life plan only if they know their private property is secure. And I was a butterfly, flitting around in the sky, then I awoke. Now I wonder, am I a man who dreamt of being a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming that I am a man? Happiness is the absence of the striving for happiness. For the wise man looks into space and he knows there is no limited dimensions. Rewards and punishments are the lowest form of education. Men honor what lies within the sphere of their knowledge, but do not realize how dependent they are on what lies beyond it. Great wisdom is generous, petty wisdom is contentious. Great speech is impassioned, small speech cantankerous. All existing things are really one. We regard those that are beautiful and rare as valuable, and those that are ugly as foul and rotten. The foul and rotten may come to be transformed into what is rare and valuable, and the rare and valuable into what is foul and rotten. Those who seek to satisfy the mind of man by hampering it with ceremonies and music, and affecting charity and devotion have lost their original nature. Life comes from the earth and life returns to the earth. Flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. Stay centered by accepting whatever you are doing. This is the ultimate. We cling to our own point of view, as though everything depended on it. Yet our opinions have no permanence, like autumn and winter, they gradually pass away. Cherish that which is within you, and shut off that which is without, for much knowledge is a curse. Where can I find a man who has forgotten words, so I can have a word with him? Those who realize their folly are not true fools. I know the joy of fishes in the river through my own joy, as I go walking along the same river. I do not know whether I was then a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or whether I am now a butterfly dreaming I am a man. Deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Do the difficult things while they are easy and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them, that only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. He who knows, does not speak. He who speaks, does not know. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still. He who conquers others is strong, he who conquers himself is mighty. A good traveler has no fixed plans, and is not intent on arriving. The snow goose need not bathe to make itself white. Neither need you do anything but be yourself. Life and death are one thread, the same line viewed from different sides. Silence is a source of great strength. Health is the greatest possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. Non-being is the greatest joy. He who does not trust enough, will not be trusted. Treat those who are good with goodness, and also treat those who are not good with goodness. Thus, goodness is attained. Be honest to those who are honest, and be also honest to those who are not honest. Thus, honesty is attained. Knowing others is wisdom, knowing yourself is enlightenment. By letting it go it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try and try, the world is beyond the winning. When the best leader's work is done, the people say, "We did it ourselves." At the center of your being you have the answer, you know who you are and you know what you want. To lead people, walk behind them. The wise man does not lay up his own treasures. The more he gives to others, the more he has for his own. An ant on the move does more than a dozing ox. The words of truth are always paradoxical. Man's enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. If you would take, you must first give. This is the beginning of intelligence. Fill your bowl to the brim and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. The more laws and order are made prominent, the more thieves and robbers there will be. Manifest plainness, embrace simplicity, reduce selfishness, have few desires. He who is contented is rich. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness. Nothing is softer or more flexible than water, yet nothing can resist it. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. Be content with what you have, rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Love is of all passions the strongest, for it attacks simultaneously the head, the heart and the senses. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. Nature is not human-hearted. Those who have knowledge, don't predict. Those who predict, don't have knowledge. Respond intelligently even to unintelligent treatment. Great acts are made up of small deeds. Truthful words are not beautiful, beautiful words are not truthful. Good words are not persuasive, persuasive words are not good. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. One who is too insistent on his own views, finds few to agree with him. To see things in the seed, that is genius. The wicked leader is he who the people despise. The good leader is he who the people revere. The great leader is he who the people say, we did it ourselves. Governing a great nation is like cooking a small fish, too much handling will spoil it. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. From caring comes courage. Anticipate the difficult by managing the easy. The softest things in the world overcome the hardest things in the world. When virtue is lost, benevolence appears. When benevolence is lost, right conduct appears. When right conduct is lost, expedience appears. Expediency is the mere shadow of right and truth, it is the beginning of disorder. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, the name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth, the named is the mother of all things. The power of intuitive understanding will protect you from harm until the end of your days. From wonder into wonder existence opens. A scholar who cherishes the love of comfort is not fit to be deemed a scholar. The sage does not hoard. The more he helps others, the more he benefits himself, the more he gives to others, the more he gets himself. The way of heaven does one good but never does one harm. The way of the sage is to act but not to compete. He who obtains has little. He who scatters has much. When a nation is filled with strife, then do patriots flourish. One cannot reflect in streaming water. Only those who know internal peace can give it to others. Sincere words are not fine, fine words are not sincere. The people are hungry, it is because those in authority eat up too much in taxes. He who talks more is sooner exhausted. To realize that you do not understand is a virtue, not to realize that you do not understand is a defect. Heaven is long enduring, and earth continues long. The reason why heaven and earth are able to endure and continue thus long is because they do not live of, or for, themselves. Simulated disorder postulates perfect discipline, simulated fear postulates courage, simulated weakness postulates strength. To know yet to think that one does not know is best, not to know yet to think that one knows will lead to difficulty. Govern a great nation as you would cook a small fish. Do not overdo it. It is better to do one's own duty, however defective it may be, than to follow the duty of another, however well one may perform it. He who does his duty as his own nature reveals it, never sins. I do not concern myself with gods and spirits either good or evil, nor do I serve any. If you keep feeling a point that has been sharpened, the point cannot long preserve its sharpness. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. Of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. Succeeding is the coming together of all that is beautiful. Furtherance is the agreement of all that is just. Perseverance is the foundation of all actions. In the world there is nothing more submissive and weaker than water. yet for attacking that which is hard and strong nothing can surpass it. Ambition has one heel nailed in well, though she stretches her fingers to touch the heavens. Be the chief but never the lord. Because of a great love, one is courageous. All things in the world come from being, and being comes from non-being. People in their handlings of affairs often fail when they are about to succeed. If one remains as careful at the end as he was at the beginning, there will be no failure. He who knows himself is enlightened. Great indeed is the sublimity of the creative, to which all beings owe their beginning and which permeates all heaven. Without stirring abroad, one can know the whole world, without looking out of the window one can see the way of heaven. The further one goes the less one knows. How could man rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? The higher the sun arises, the less shadow doth he cast, even so the greater is the goodness, the less doth it covet praise, yet cannot avoid its rewards in honors. All difficult things have their origin in that which is easy, and great things in that which is small. There was something undifferentiated and yet complete, which existed before heaven and earth. Soundless and formless, it depends on nothing and does not change. It operates everywhere and is free from danger. It may be considered the mother of the universe. I do not know its name, I call it Tao. The career of a sage is of two kinds. He is either honored by all in the world, like a flower waving its head, or else he disappears into the silent forest. Man takes his law from the earth takes its law from heaven, heaven takes its law from the Tao. The law of the Tao is its being what it is. If the great way perishes, there will morality and duty. When cleverness and knowledge arise, great lies will flourish. When relatives fall out with one another, there will be filial duty and love. When states are in confusion, there will be faithful servants. The object of rewards is to encourage, that of punishments, to prevent. If rewards are high, then what the ruler wants will be quickly effected. If punishments are heavy, what he does not want will be swiftly prevented. A wise ruler, when he makes his laws, is bound to find himself in conflict with the world. If a ruler can get rid of private crookedness and promote the public law, his people will become secure, and his state will become well ordered. Superior and inferior wage 100 battles a day. A filial son to his father can be a traitorous subject to his ruler. The ruler who possesses methods of government does not follow the good that happens by chance but practices according to necessary principles. Law, methods, and power must be employed for government, these constitute its necessary principles. If a ruler of men wants to put an end to vice, he must examine the correspondence between form and name and look to see how what is said differs from what is done. If ministers forget their ruler and establish relationships with foreign powers in order to advance the interests of their confederates, there will be scant reason for subordinates to obey their superiors. Those who serve as ministers can be compared to hands, reaching up, they take care of the head, reaching down, they take care of the feet. The severe household has no fierce slaves, while it is the affectionate mother who has the prodigal son. The duties of the ruler are like those of the helmsman of a great ship. From his lofty position, he makes slight movements with his hands, and the ship, of itself, follows his desires and moves. This is the way whereby the one may control the 10,000 and by quiescence may regulate activity. The intelligent ruler makes the law select men and makes no arbitrary appointment himself. He makes the law measure merits and makes no arbitrary judgment himself. I believe it is impossible to be sure of anything. A ruler makes use of the majority and neglects the minority, and so he does not devote himself to virtue but to law. The severe household has no fierce slaves, but it is the affectionate mother. A wise man, when he writes a book, sets forth his arguments fully and clearly. An enlightened ruler, when he makes his laws, sees to it that every contingency is provided for in detail. The way is the beginning of the 10,000 things and the guiding thread of truth and falsity. He who is vain, and delights in his own ability is deceived by his inferiors. When he likes to bring forth arguments and kindliness, his inferiors take advantage of his abilities. The intelligent ruler does not value people who are of themselves good without rewards and punishments. Why is that? The laws of the state cannot be neglected, and it is not one man who is being ruled. If you rely on political factions to promote men to office, the people will work to develop instrumental relationships and will not seek to be useful with regard to the law. Thus, a ruler who mistakes reputation for ability when assigning offices will see his state fall into disorder. Within the frontiers of a state, there are no more than 10 people who do good of themselves, whereas if one makes it so that the people can do no wrong, the entire state can be kept peaceful. The people in the well-ordered ages of the past upheld the public law and abandoned private strategies. They focused their intentions and unified their conduct. Everything they did was for the sake of being employed by the ruler. A ruler of men faces two possible misfortunes. If he employs the worthy, the ministers will use worthiness as a pretext to rob their ruler of his power, but if he promotes men recklessly, his affairs will be neglected, and he will not prevail. When an enlightened ruler controls his ministers, he makes it so that ministers cannot get credit for achievements gained by overstepping the bounds of their offices or make proposals and then fail to match them with actual achievements. The way of an enlightened ruler is to make it so that no minister may make a proposal and then fail to match it with actions and results. When people look for the road in the clouds road disappears. The mountains are tall and steep, the streams are wide and still green, mountains ahead and behind, white clouds to east and west. If you want to find the cloud road, seek it within. Though face and form alter with the years, I hold fast to the pearl of my mind. Old and sick, more than 100 years, face haggard, hair white, I'm happy to still live in the mountains, a cloth-covered phantom watching the years flow by. Why envy people with clever ways of living? As for me, I delight in the everyday way among mist-wrapped vines and rocky caves. Here in the wilderness I am completely free with my friends, the white clouds, idling forever. There are roads, but they do not reach the world since I am mindless. Who can rouse my thoughts? On a bed of stone I sit, alone in the night while a round moon climbs up cold mountain. You find a flower half buried in leaves, and in your eye its very fate resides. Loving beauty, you caress the bloom, soon enough, you'll sweep petals from the floor. Terrible to love the lovely so, to count your own years, to say I'm old, to see a flower half buried in leaves and come face to face with what you are. I took a walk, suddenly I stood still, filled with the realization that I had no body or mind. All I could see was one great illuminating whole, omnipresent, perfect, lucid and serene. All the people in the Kwoking monastery, they say, Han Shan is an idiot. Am I really an idiot? I reflect. But my reflections fail to solve the question, for I myself do not know who the self is, and how can others know who I am? I sit cross-legged on the rock. The valleys and streams are cold and damp. Sitting quietly is beautiful. The cliffs are lost in mist and fog. I rest happily in this place at dusk. The tree shadows are low. I look into my mind. A white lotus emerges from the dark mud. I love the joy of mountains, wandering free with no concerns. Every day I find food for this old body. There's leisure for thinking, nothing to do. Often I carry an ancient book. Sometimes I climb a rock pavilion to look down a 1,000-foot precipice. Overhead are swirling clouds. A cold moon, chilly cold. My body feels like a flying crane. If your house has cold mountain poems, they are better for you than sutras. Hang them up where you can see them, read them and read them again. Often sit alone, happy thoughts, somewhat far gone clouds, circle mountain soft. Wind through valley, swish, ape in tree, bounce, bird in forest, chirp, time turns hair gray, winter is here, sad. If you're looking for a place to rest, Cold Mountain is good for a long stay. The breeze blowing through the dark pines sounds better the closer you come, and under the trees a white-haired man mumbles over his towers. Texts 10 years now he hasn't gone home. He's even forgotten the road he came by. Today I sat before the cliff until the mist and rainbows disappeared. I followed the emerald stream, explored 1,000 tiers of green cliffs. In the morning my spirit rests among white clouds. At night a bright moon floats in the sky. I am free of the busy world. There is not a doubt in my heart or a worry to disturb my mind. I dreamed a place where I have come to dwell. Cold Mountain says it all. Monkeys scream. The valley fog is cold. My door blends with the color of the peaks. I gather leaves and thatch a hut among the pines, dig a pond and lead a trickle from the brook. Long ago I left the world behind, eating ferns. I pass the years in peace. Cold Mountain is hidden in white clouds. It's peaceful to be cut off from the busy world. I use dry grass for cushions in my mountain home. My only light is the round moon. My bed is the rock beside the green pool. Tigers and deer are my companions. I delight in this happy peaceful life forever beyond the world of men. Since I retired to Cold Mountain, I've lived by eating mountain fruits. What is there to worry about? Life passes according to karma. The months pass like a flowing stream. Days and nights like sparks from flint. Heaven and earth endlessly change while I sit happily among these cliffs. Someone sits in a mountain vale. A robe of clouds, rainbows for tassels. The fragrant forest is the place to live. The road has been long and difficult, with a heart full of doubt and regret. A life has passed and nothing has been accomplished. Others call it failure. I stand alone, devoted to this cold mountain life. Climb the steep Cold Mountain way. Roads to Cold Mountain are many and never ending. The valleys are long and deep. The peaks piled high, the streams are wide, the grass is thick, the moss is slippery. Though there is no rain the pines sigh. Though there is no wind, who can escape the snares of the world and come to sit with me among the white clouds? People ask the way to Cold Mountain. Roads do not go through. Summer arrives yet the ice has not melted. Though the sun is out, it's foggy and dim. How did I arrive here? My mind and yours are not the same. When our minds are one, you will be here too. How wonderful is Cold Mountain. Climbers are all afraid. The moon shines on clear water. Twinkle, twinkle, wind rustles the tall grass. Plum trees flower in the snow. Bare twisted trees have clouds for foliage. A touch of rain brings it all alive. Unless you see clearly, do not approach. Men ask the way to Cold Mountain. Cold Mountain, there's no through trail. Cold mountain sun forever not change, I live alone beyond life death. Cold mountain cold ice freezes, rock mountains are green, snow is white, sun shines bright, everything melt, everything warm, warms old man. When you live on cold mountain long enough, the autumns pass quickly. When you live alone you have no worries. When you leave the doors open no one bothers you. The bubbling stream runs forever in the cave, a clay pot boils over a fire on the ground, a wandering breeze stirs the fragrant pines. When hungry I eat one simple meal and lean against the rock in complete harmony. I brewed potions in a vain search for life everlasting, I read books, I sang songs of history, and today I've come home to Cold Mountain to pillow my head on the stream and wash my ears. Tier on tier of beautiful mountains and streams, blue-green vistas locked in white clouds, the mist makes my bandana wet, dew coats my grass cape, my feet climb in straw sandals, my hand holds an old wooden stick. When I gaze down again on the dusty world, it has become a land of phantoms and dreams to me. Tears of mountains, cold wind, feet not need fan, ice cold through moon shines, bright mist covers everything, sit all alone one old man. If you want a peaceful place to dwell, Cold Mountain is guaranteed forever. A light wind blows softly in the pines, the sound is good when you are close. One old man sits beneath the trees reading Lao Tzu and Huang Ti, mumbling, I could not find the world if I searched. 10 years, I've forgotten the road by which I came. I settled at Cold Mountain long ago, already it seems like ages. Wandering free I roam the woods and streams, lingering to watch things be themselves. Men don't come this far into the mountains where white clouds gather and billow. Dry grass makes a comfortable mattress, the blue sky is a fine quilt, happy to pillow my head on the rock. I leave heaven and earth to endless change. There is a precious mountain even the 7 treasures cannot compare. A cold moon rises through the pines, layer upon layer of bright clouds. How many towering peaks! How many wandering miles! The valley streams run clear, happiness forever. The higher the trail the steeper it grows, 10,000 tiers of dangerous cliffs, the stone bridge is slippery with green moss, cloud after cloud keeps flying by, waterfalls hang like ribbons of silk, the moon shines down on the bright pool. I climb the highest peak once more to wait where the lone crane flies. Conquered and dominated China culturally for 20 centuries without ever having to send a single soldier across her border. And revolutions always mean the breakdown of old authority. What is sacred among one people may be ridiculous in another, and what is despised or rejected by one cultural group may in a different environment become the cornerstone for a great edifice of strange grandeur and beauty. On the basis of biological, sociological, and historical knowledge, we should recognize that the individual self is subject to death or decay, but the sum total of individual achievement, for better or worse, lives on in the immortality of the larger. Practically all the prominent leaders of thought in China today are openly agnostics and even atheists. Historically, there had been many periods of Chinese Renaissance. The rise of the dramas in the 13th century, and the rise of the great novels in a later period, together with their frank glorification of love and the joys of life, may be called the Third Renaissance. Confucius was a humanist and an agnostic. It is only through contact and comparison that the relative value or worthlessness of the various cultural elements can be clearly and critically seen and understood. Another important historical factor is the fact that this already very simple religion was further simplified and purified by the early philosophers of ancient China. Our first great philosopher was a founder of naturalism, and our second great philosopher was an agnostic. No student of Chinese history can say that the Chinese are incapable of religious experience, even when judged by the standards of medieval Europe or pious India. Only when we realize that there is no eternal, unchanging truth or absolute truth can we arouse in ourselves a sense of intellectual responsibility. In the year 1915, a series of trivial incidents led some Chinese students in Cornell University to take up the question of reforming the Chinese language. But I wish to point out that it is entirely wrong to say that the Chinese are not religious. Life and human society are the chief concern of Confucianism and, through it, the chief concern of the Chinese people. The Chinese people, too, went through all kinds of vicissitudes in their religious development. And lastly, the political revolutions from 1911 to the present time have done more to bring about tremendous social changes everywhere than even the economic and industrial changes and the new schools. The Jesuits had learned that a Christian mission to China could never succeed if it were not in a position to show and convince the Chinese intelligentsia of the superiority of the European culture. In such diffused changes of culture, two factors are necessary: contact and understanding. It is true that the Chinese are not so religious as the Hindus, or even as the Japanese, and they are certainly not so religious as the Christian missionaries desire them to be. For all the social changes in China can be traced to their early beginnings in the days when the new tools or vehicles of commerce and locomotion first brought the Chinese people into unavoidable contact with the strange ways and novel goods of the Western peoples. On July 26, 1916, I announced to all my friends in America that from now on I resolved to write no more poems in the classical language, and to begin my experiments in writing poetry in the so-called vulgar tongue of the people. After learning the language and culture of the Chinese people, these Jesuits began to establish contacts with the young intellectuals of the country. Within my own life, I read all the beloved novels by lamps of vegetable oil. I saw the Standard Oil invading my own village. I saw gas lamps in the Chinese shops in Shanghai, and I saw their elimination by electric lights. I'd rather betray the world than let the world betray me. I remain myself. I have never cared about others misjudging me. What is at a peak is certain to decline. He who shows his hand will surely be defeated. He who can prevail in battle by taking advantage of his enemy's doubts is invincible. I like to kill people in my dreams, so when I fall asleep be sure not to come too close. I would employ the wise and strong of the empire, using righteousness to lead them. In this way, nothing is impossible. I'd rather let the world down than to allow the world to let me down. You can't judge a book by its cover, can you? My ambition cannot be stopped. I will show you the path to the spirit world. Rather we let down the world than the world let us down. Any who stand in my way shall be cut down. Each man is for his Lord, do not give chase. A person attempting to travel two roads at once will get nowhere. Pride and excess bring disaster for man. When people lack teachers, their tendencies are not corrected. When they do not have ritual and moral principles, then their lawlessness is not controlled. If the gentleman has ability, he is magnanimous, generous, tolerant, and straightforward, through which he opens the way to instruct others. The petty man is eager to make boasts, yet desires that others should believe in him. He enthusiastically engages in deception, yet wants others to have affection for him. He conducts himself like an animal, yet wants others to think well of him. Therefore, a person should first be changed by a teacher's instructions, and guided by principles of ritual. Only then can he observe the rules of courtesy and humility, obey the conventions and rules of society, and achieve order. The coming of honor or disgrace must be a reflection of one's inner power. When you locate good in yourself, approve of it with determination. When you locate evil in yourself, despise it as something detestable. Sacrifices are concerned with the feelings of devotion and longing. The rigid cause themselves to be broken, the pliable cause themselves to be bound. Human nature and deliberate effort must unite, and then the reputation of the sage and the work of unifying all under heaven are thereupon brought to completion. Human nature refers to what is in people but which they cannot study or work at achieving. Since the nature of people is bad, to become corrected they must be taught by teachers, and to be orderly they must acquire ritual and moral principles. Human nature is such that people are born with a love of profit. If they follow these inclinations, they will struggle and snatch from each other, and inclinations to defer or yield will die. If what the heart approves conforms to proper patterns, then even if one's desires are many, what harm would there be to good order? If the impulse to daring and bravery is too fierce and violent, stay it with guidance and instruction. Quarreling over food and drink, having neither scruples nor shame, not knowing right from wrong, not trying to avoid death or injury, not fearful of greater strength or of greater numbers, greedily aware only of food and drink, such is the bravery of the dog and boar. Now it is human nature to want to eat to one's fill when hungry, to want to warm up when cold, to want to rest when tired. These all are a part of people's emotional nature. Thus, that one can find no place to walk through the breadth of the earth is not because the earth is not tranquil, but because the danger to every step of the traveler lies generally with words. I say that human nature is the original beginning and the raw material, and deliberate effort is what makes it patterned, ordered, and exalted. Human nature is evil, and goodness is caused by intentional activity. A person is born with feelings of envy and hate. If he gives way to them, they will lead him to violence and crime, and any sense of loyalty and good faith will be abandoned. In order to properly understand the big picture, everyone should fear becoming mentally clouded and obsessed with one small section of truth. A person is born with a liking for profit. When you concentrate on agriculture and industry and are frugal in expenditures, heaven cannot impoverish your state. I once tried thinking for an entire day, but I found it less valuable than one moment of study. Music is a fantastic peacekeeper of the world, it is integral to harmony, and it is a required fundamental of human emotion. Human nature is what heaven supplies. Those whose character is mean and vicious will rouse others to animosity against them. If knowledge and foresight are too penetrating and deep, unify them with ease and sincerity. There are successful scholars, public-spirited scholars, upright scholars, cautious scholars, and those who are merely petty men. If the quickness of the mind and the fluency of the tongue are too punctilious and sharp, moderate them in your activity and rest. I once tried standing up on my toes to see far out in the distance, but I found that I could see much farther by climbing to a high place. When a man sees something desirable, he must reflect on the fact that with time it could come to involve what is detestable. When he sees something that is beneficial, he should reflect that sooner or later it, too, could come to involve harm. If the blood humor is too strong and robust, calm it with balance and harmony. A person is born with desires of the eyes and ears, and a liking for beautiful sights and sounds. If he gives way to them, they will lead him to immorality and lack of restriction, and any ritual principles and propriety will be abandoned. In antiquity the sage kings recognized that men's nature is bad and that their tendencies were not being corrected and their lawlessness controlled. Thus, anybody who follows this nature and gives way its states will be led into quarrels and conflicts, and go against the conventions and rules of society, and will end up a criminal. Whether the gentleman is capable or not, he is loved all the same. Conversely, the petty man is loathed all the same. Mencius said that human nature is good. I disagree with that. If there were no human nature, then there would be nothing for deliberate effort to be applied to. If there were no deliberate effort, then human nature would not be able to beautify itself. The world is like a great empty dream. Why should one toil away one's life? Shade and light are different in every valley. You ask why I make my home on the mountain forest, and I smile, and am silent, and even my soul remains quiet. It lives in the other world which no one owns. The peach trees blossom, the water flows. The living is a passing traveler, the dead, a man come home. Heaven is high, earth wide. Bitter between them flies my sorrow. Beneath the blossoms with a pot of wine, no friends at hand, so I poured alone. I raised my cup to invite the moon, turned to my shadow, and we became three. Since life is but a dream, why toil to no avail? All the birds have flown up and gone, a lonely cloud floats leisurely by. We never tire of looking at each other, only the mountain and I. I am asked why I live in the green mountains. I smile but reply not, for my heart is at rest. The flowing waters carry the image of the peach blossoms far, far away. There is an earth, there is a heaven, unknown to men. The birds have vanished into the sky, and now the last cloud drains away. We sit together, the mountain and me, until only the mountain remains. I bow in reverence to the white cloud. To wash and rinse our souls of their age-old sorrows, we drained 100 jugs of wine. A splendid night it was. In the clear moonlight we were loath to go to bed, but at last drunkenness overtook us, and we laid ourselves down on the empty mountain, the earth for pillow, and the great heaven for coverlet. In a universe animated by the interaction of yin, female, and yang, male, energies, the moon was literally invisible. Indeed, it was the very germ or source of yin, and the sun was its yang counterpart. Forever and forever and forever. You ask me why I dwell in the green mountain. I smile and make no reply, for my heart is free of care. As the peach blossom flows downstream and is gone into the unknown, I have a world apart that is not among men. Growing older, I love only quietness. Who need be concerned with the things of this world? Looking back, what better plan than this, returning to the grove? The paired butterflies are already yellow with August over the grass in the west garden. They hurt me. I grow older. Gently I stir a white feather fan, with open shirt sitting in a green wood. I take off my cap and hang it on a jutting stone, a wind from the pine tree trickles on my bare head. Now let you and me buy wine today. Why say we have not the price? My horse spotted with 5 flowers, my fur coat worth 1,000 pieces of gold, these I will take out, and call my boy to barter them for sweet wine. And with you twain, let me forget the sorrow of 10,000 ages. The autumn air is clear, the autumn moon is bright. Fallen leaves gather and scatter, the jackdaw perches and starts anew. We think of each other, when will we meet? This hour, this night, my feelings are hard. Bears, dragons, tempestuous on mountain and river, startle the forest and make the heights tremble. Clouds darken beneath the darkness of rain, streams pale with a pallor of mist. The gods of thunder and lightning shatter the whole range. From the walls of Beatty High in the colored dawn to Jiangling by nightfall is 300 miles, yet monkeys are still calling on both banks behind me to my boat these 10,000 mountains away. In the battlefield men grapple each other and die, the horses of the vanquished utter lamentable cries to heaven, while ravens and kites peck at human entrails, carry them up in their flight, and hang them on the branches of dead trees. From some home a jade flute sends dark notes drifting, scattering on the spring wind that fills Loyang. Tonight, if we should hear the willow breaking song, who could help but long for the gardens of home?